Do you suddenly find yourself working remotely and have no idea how to actually get anything done? In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to maximize your productivity while working from home. Let's get into it. When I first started working from home, I struggled so much with all of a sudden having all this autonomy and trying to hold myself accountable and actually do work. But what I realized after a long time of trial and effort is that I was doing a lot of things that were just unknowingly setting me up for failure. So I want to go through some of that stuff today with you because I know a lot of people are being put in positions right now where they have to work from home and it's very new for them and you just kind of have to roll with it. Okay, so this first tip that I really have to stress because it is arguably the most important one is prepare in the morning like you normally would for a day in the office. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started working from home is that I would treat my Mondays like Sundays. So I would wake up for my alarm, I'd snooze it, I would be like, you know what, I don't need to wake up until my first meeting or until I absolutely have to log on and show that I'm online. And what this did is it told my mind that, oh, today is a weekend, it's not a weekday. And basically, I would just not be in the mindset for work. Even when I would log in, it just would be really tough for me to hold my attention and to be productive. So instead, your alarm goes off. Do what you normally would do. Get out of bed. Go take that shower. Put on clean clothes. Don't just go your whole day in your pajamas, kind of feeling like, oh, it's just like a Sunday morning. It doesn't matter what I look like or if I'm clean. Because while it doesn't really matter for, people aren't seeing you, it matters for your mind and preparing and just setting yourself up for that mentality of, no, today's a work day. I am going to show up today like I would any other day going into the office. The next thing is something that I didn't realize until way later than I should have, which is create a safe office space. When I first started working from home, I didn't really have an office. I basically just did work in my living room or in my kitchen. And the problem with this is that those two spaces have their own purpose already. The living room is for relaxing and the kitchen is for cooking food and eating it. So what I would find is that if I was working in the living room, I was just laying on the couch, feeling kind of lazy, not really wanting to do much. But if I was working in the kitchen, I was just eating all day. So it's really important to have a separate space that doesn't already have a pre-existing purpose. So it can't be your bedroom. It could be, say, a guest room if you can put a desk in there. I know a lot of people don't necessarily have, an office. I didn't have one until recently. So it's just really important if you can to find a space that you can kind of make your own and it's your work from home space. Ideally, it's a place that, if you have other people home with you, they know that when you're in that room, they're not allowed to come in. Because that's one thing that can get really tough is if you're in a communal space or just if maybe you have kids and they don't really understand that you're at home, but you're not really home, you're at work, just in the house. It can be kind of hard for them because they think, oh, you're here, like I can come play with you and hang out. But it's really important to set that standard of, no, if I'm in this room and the door's closed, I need to be doing work and you can't bother me unless it's an emergency. On that same note of creating a safe office space, know what tools you need to be productive. So say at work, you normally have 2 monitors and at home you only have 1. You're going to find a very big difference in terms of how much work you get done because you're so used to having 2. Now you're having to learn how to use 1 and it's going to be difficult. So I know with monitors that can be a tricky thing, but try to prepare as much as possible with what you think you'll need. For me, that looked like getting something that I could use as a standing desk because at my office, when I was going in, I would use a standing desk all the time. And then I found when I was working from home, at first I didn't have really a way to do that. And I was like, it just made me a lot less productive because I was sitting a lot more and it just wasn't good for me. So keep in mind whether it's, having something you can use as a standing desk, trying to get an extra monitor if you can, even hooking your computer up to the TV to use as a monitor can work. And little things, like if you normally have a lot of Post-its or notebooks at your desk, make sure you have all that stuff set up so that when you wake up, shower, get ready, you can go into that office space and feel like you've arrived at work. Okay, this next one was something that I struggled with for a very long time because, like I said, I used to always either do work in the kitchen or living room. And when I would do work in the kitchen, specifically my problem was replacing meals with snacks. So this is something I used to do a lot. I still have an issue with it, but I'm a lot better at it. And basically, when you go into work, typically you either bring lunch or maybe go to the cafeteria and get a lunch, but you probably have like a set time when you typically eat lunch and you eat an actual meal. The problem arises when you're working from home. You think to yourself, oh, I'm going to be at home. I don't need to prepare for my lunch. And what happens is lunchtime comes, you get hungry, and all of a sudden now you're like, oh, well, I have to cook something if I want to eat. I don't want to, that's a lot of effort, that's time. I just want to eat something now. So you just eat a snack. What's really important here is to prepare your meals just like you would if you're going to work. So normally if you bring lunch to work every day, still prepare those lunches if you're going to be working from home. And when lunchtime comes, take that meal out of the fridge, treat it like you would treat it at work. It's okay to have some extra snacks because you're home and you're not used to it, but it's not okay to replace those meals you would normally have with snacks. You need to be nourished to be able to do productive work. If you're eating snacks all day and it just kind of makes you feel like a little bit more lethargic and crappy, then you're not going to get as much work done and it's going to be a lot harder to be productive. And something that can help you with this is actually a 5-day meal prep ebook that I recently made, which just has some simple recipes that are really fast, filling, and you make them in bulk, you have them for your whole week. So I'll put the link to that in the description below so that if you're someone who just really isn't sure where to start with meal prepping and making these lunches for the week, you can start there. Okay, my next tip is, regardless if you normally have this, is to create a to-do list or priority list. What happens, I think, for a lot of people is they start working from home and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what to do because I don't have my boss telling me what to do every day, or I don't have people around to ask. And so all of a sudden it can be like, well, I have nothing to do. I'm just going to go watch TV. So one option for this is maybe you email your manager and say, hey, could you just give me a priority list for this week so I know what stuff I'm supposed to be working on and what's important? Or if you already know there are things you are supposed to be working on, but it's one of those things where you just kind of, if you're working from home and it's not urgent, you feel like, oh, I don't have to do it. Schedule those things into your calendar. Like, make it feel like, okay, I'm going to the office. Instead of arriving at my desk at 9 a.m., okay, I'm sitting at my desk at home at 9 a.m. and I'm treating my schedule like I would treat it at work. I'm only taking breaks like I would at work. I'm not just going to go watch TV for an hour and then come back when I feel like it. Treat your schedule the same as if you were going into work, and really try to stick to some sort of priority list so that you don't get sidetracked with doing chores around the house instead. So those are my tips on how to be more productive while working from home. If you found them helpful, please tap that thumbs up and I'll see you next time.